Hi everyone, welcome back to the Sports Breakdown once again. And this time we are coming to discuss on the Australia versus Sri Lanka ODI series review, where Sri Lanka beat Australia 3-2 and winning for the first time after 30 years at home in Sri Lanka in an ODI series, and after 12 years beating Australia in an ODI series because they won back in 2010 in Australia. But I think Sri Lanka and Australia played only limited ODI series, I think, and this was not included in the ODI Super League table as well. It was not included in the points table. So this was just an agreement between the Australia Cricket Board to support Sri Lanka cricket during these difficult times. But we've got back Jack from the Dibbly Dobbly podcast after a long time. I think after 2 to 3 months. I think last time we discussed on was Australia versus Pakistan, and I think things went well. I think for Australia in that Test series, but I think I think it was a drawn test, right? If I'm not mistaken, I can't remember the result of Australia versus Pakistan. There's so many things going on back in March.
Yeah.
But when they come back to Sri Lanka now for the Test series, we'll be discussing on that as well because both Australia and Pakistan are going to tour Sri Lanka in just 2 months. So we've got him, and then we've got Aman as well after a long time, a
Yeah.
cricket analyst. Yeah, who's gone and watched matches, so he could tell our experience, his experiences as well, seeing how
Mhm.
Sri Lanka has played in the ODI in 2020 series. So coming to Jack, first of all, I mean, did you expect this result to first happen? I mean, especially in the ODI cricket. I mean, after the first 2020, did you expect Sri Lanka to make a comeback like this and perhaps beat Australia away? I mean, Australia played good cricket, but I mean, Sri Lanka just outplayed Australia in the ODI cricket series. So, your thoughts on the ODI series? I mean, especially on how Australia performed, first of all.
Yeah, I didn't really expect Sri Lanka to win 3-2 in the way they did in this ODI series. I thought after the first T20, where Australia won by 10 wickets, I thought Australia were going to run away with the whole thing. But it was good that Sri Lanka were able to fight and be competitive in this ODI series, which is great for Sri Lanka and great for them as a developing team. A lot of young
Yeah.
players, so it's a great victory for them. Unfortunately for Australia, things didn't quite go to plan. We had injuries. Even though we had the full strength squad, we didn't have Adam Zampa. He didn't take part in this tour, so
He was on
we had to
paternity
try
leave, I
other.
think.
Yes,
He was on
yeah, he
paternity
was
leave.
away
Yeah.
for family reasons, and we had a lot of injuries, as I said. So in the end, it's the way it is. But good for Sri Lanka, and especially after the last game, good scenes here with the crowd supporting Australia with the yellow shirts, which I thought was
Yeah, I didn't go for that one. I didn't go for that one.
It was all for Shane Warne, and I think appreciation for Australia for coming to Sri Lanka. I think that
Yeah,
was
in
why
this.
they
Yeah.
wore the yellow t-shirt. But
Hmm.
coming back to Aman, and we need to talk about the batsman first of all. How impressive was both Kusal Mendis and Pathum Nissanka in this ODI series, especially Kusal Mendis scored
Yeah.
240 runs in this series, man of
Uh,
the series. So your thoughts on Kusal Mendis and especially Pathum Nissanka? I think many people went to watch that game. He scored 137 in the third
yes, I was
ODI.
at that game. I was at the
Yeah.
game.
So your thoughts on both of those batsmen? Yeah.
Yes. I think it was absolutely brilliant, that one innings from Pathum Nissanka. On Kusal Mendis, he.
Aman, I think you're muted. I can't hear you. Jack, could you hear me?
No, I can't hear him. I think he's cut
Yeah.
out or something. His mic's cut out or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Some technical difficulties here, everyone.
Aman, we can't hear you. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, no worries. I think he'll explain later. So, coming back to the most runs, obviously we saw. I think this is 2020. Sorry. So talk about the ODI series. I think it was. I think top three from Sri Lanka. I think two of them scored hundreds, and Australia. I think only Glenn Maxwell performed well, and David Warner. Unfortunate 99. But yeah, coming to the Australian batters, Jack, I think David Warner, unfortunate, he got out from 99. I think that stumping dismissal of Niroshan
Mm.
Dickwella got him out. But talking
Yes.
overall of the Australian batters, your thoughts? I mean, could they have done better in Sri Lankan pitches, or were you impressed with their performance?
Well, it was an okay performance from the batsmen, I thought. It wasn't their best performance in Sri Lanka. he was quite challenging with the spin. Obviously, the spinners, especially in the fourth game, I think Sri Lanka named 5 spinners or something on a turning track in Colombo, which was all spin from start to finish. And Australia had to face that, which was hard, even in the last game as well. But they were able to get the job done, which was the main thing. David Warner, as you said, did well. Glenn Maxwell was good in that first game where he got that 80-odd and helped Australia get over the line. The rest of the batsmen struggled against the spin and didn't quite perform to their best, but that's a learning experience for them. And it wasn't a bad thing that they went through that in this series, because obviously the 50-over World Cup's in India next year, so you have to get used to these conditions, especially setting turtles or chasing down targets. So Australia could have done a lot of things a lot better, maybe played the spin a bit better. We struggled there a bit, especially in the last 2 games. But in the last game, we were able to get the job done. And that was the important thing. Just grind it out, find a way, see off their spinners, and get the job done. It wasn't like we were chasing 260 or something. It was only 161 in the end. So we could have done a lot better. But, foreign conditions for the Australian batsmen, they got to improve going forward. And I believe this is the 3rd series Australia's lost in subcontinent in the ODI series in the last few years. So we need to improve towards that World Cup next year. But, they could have done better. But, Warner and Maxwell did okay. And, others chipped in, but they got starts, got out. That was the disappointing thing.
Yeah. Aman, what do you think about the Sri Lankan batters, especially Kusal Mendis and especially the 200s?
Talking about Kusal Mendis, he didn't hit any ton, but every innings he did a little something. Every single innings he contributed to Sri Lanka, and I think he's just been very impressive in this series, because he's not hit 100 and just done it once. He's always just got closer. The match that I went to was that 87 and retired. That really got me, and that really got me scared. But let's get on to Pathum Nissanka then. I was at the match when he hit that 100. Yes, the atmosphere was crazy after Pathum Nissanka hit the 100. On to Sri Lanka again. What did he do? That well, he hit 100. Yes, that's very nice, but he didn't contribute in every single match, and that's why I think Kusal Mendis has done very well. He has not hit any hundreds, but he's contributed in every single game.
True. I agree with you. And Jack, we need to talk about, I know it's coming to Sri Lanka, but we need to talk about this 19-year-old Dunith Wellalage.
Yes.
9 wickets.
Absolutely crazy.
In this 5-match ODI series, he just debuted. He got Steve Smith out as his first wicket. He faced, he had a brilliant series. So
he got 3 wickets in the last game.
So your thoughts on this newly founded cricketer from Sri Lanka, and how lethal could he be in the upcoming years?
He's definitely a talent, and I can see why Sri Lanka selected him in this ODI team and squad. He's only young. He's only 19. I think Glenn Maxwell went up to him and in the first game and consoled him a bit after he went for some runs, and that's a part of the learning process for him. And he got better as the series progressed, and he got wickets, which was good. He got 9. I thought he bowled okay. He did his role. He's got a bright future ahead of him, and hopefully he can contribute to many more successes and wins for Sri Lanka in the future. He's definitely a serious talent.
What about you, Aman, about Dunith Wellalage, the under-19 captain, and how he performed?
He's absolutely brilliant. He's currently, his variations aren't too big. He's just got the arm ball and the stock off spin, but he's such a good bowler. Watching him play, every single ball, it just beat the batsman or something would happen. Every single ball. It's absolutely crazy. What a brilliant player. Also a very nice person. I met him. Dunith Wellalage. Absolutely brilliant player also. Wow. And I say maybe a Sri Lanka legend. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to put pressure, but maybe a future legend for Sri Lanka.
True. And coming back to Australia, I think they had many injuries, especially the spinners, especially Ashton Agar was not there. Then they didn't have Stoinis as well, their services. But about this guy, Matthew Kuhneman, I mean, he was in the Australian A team, and I think he did not bad. I mean, in the last two matches, maybe he was expensive.
Yes.
But Jack, your thoughts on Matthew Kuhneman? Maybe he could be playing for Australia. I mean, even in Australia, in Australian conditions as well, very soon. I mean, he was not bad playing for in the national. I mean, the national team. He was playing for the Australia A, obviously, before coming to the Australian national squad. So, your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he came in obviously to the side because of the injuries to Agar, etc. And Australia needed another spin option, so they decided to give him a go. I've seen a bit of him for Queensland and for the Brisbane Heat in Australia domestically. He's done okay, so he deserved his opportunity. He took some wickets. He went for some runs. That happens, but as I said, he's only new to international cricket, so Australia wanted to try him out and try different players out because of the injuries and that, and see which players are going to be best suited for different roles, etc. That, so I thought he did okay. He chipped in and he did his role, and he will learn from this series going forward.
Yeah. And coming back to Jack, what about? I mean, Josh Hazelwood was not so lethal in the ODI series, but I mean, Pat Cummins was, I mean, decent in this ODI series. Unfortunately, he couldn't play all 5 matches. I think they were giving him a rest because
Yeah.
they are making him to focus on the Test cricket, especially for the Test cricket series coming up. But your thoughts on the fast bowling lineup in this too? I mean, Josh Hazelwood was good, but he was not so lethal compared to the 2020 series. But your overall thoughts on the fast bowling attack of Australia?
Yeah, they did okay. They got wickets. Pat Cummins got wickets. Josh Hazelwood got the odd wicket. They did their job. Australia were missing Mitchell Starc dearly after he cut his finger in the first T20. Didn't play after
Yeah,
that.
that was
So they were definitely missing his pace and airspeed, and he can swing the ball at pace. Whereas Cummins and Hazelwood are more hit the deck bowlers and see what happens off the surface. So they did okay. The other bowlers that they tried as well. Jai Richardson went for some runs. He was expensive. He wasn't quite at his best.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a mixed bag from the Australian quicks. And obviously, that's the way it goes, really. You have good games and bad games, and they did okay. It wasn't like a disaster. They got wickets, but at times they just couldn't pick up the wickets when needed, especially in that third ODI, in that big partnership with Kusal Mendis and Nasenko, I think it was. They couldn't get that partnership out early, and they weren't really effective. So it was an okay performance, but they can definitely do better going forward. That's for sure.
Yeah. Aman, what are your thoughts on the Australian fast bowling attack? I mean, Jai Richardson, Josh Hazelwood, Pat Cummins.
Yeah, Jai Richardson was just not that good. He was pretty expensive. Pat Cummins, he was good. Hazelwood, I think he did a bit better in T20 series. You can say that, of course. Without Starc, it's a bit different. Of course, we know the way Starc got injured. I saw it
in the first.
I kind of, to be honest with you, I kind of laughed after I saw it at first. But yes, that was a big blow for the Aussies. I'm sure that's not what cost them the series or anything, but yes, that was a big blow for the Aussies. Their fast bowling lineup, and that was 100% a problem for them. On the fast bowling in the ODI series, can't really say much, but it was standard. It was average,
Yeah. And coming back to Jack, your thoughts on Josh English, because I think he was quite okay with his performance as keeping, and also because Matthew Wade obviously not in this ODI series, and they chose Josh English and Alex Carey, both of them to play. What do you think about the wicket keepers, and especially on Josh English batting in that middle order in the final series? I think he won one match for Australia. But your thoughts on both Carey and English in this series?
Yeah, I thought Alex Carey did okay in this series, especially in the last match.
English
He got
played
that
in
40
the
odd.
2020 series. I'm sorry. I think English played in the 2020 series a bit. Yeah, not in the ODI. Yeah,
No, he
yeah.
did, he
He,
did. He
he
played the
played in the
last match.
last
He played the
ODI,
last
He only played
match.
the last match. Yeah, but
He
then he
played the
made
last
his
match.
but it was
He
mainly
made his debut.
Alex Carey in the ODI series. Yeah, Carey's the preferred keeper at the moment in the ODI team. Obviously, in the T20 teams, Matthew Wade, who's the preferred keeper at the moment.
yeah.
But once Wade retires or steps down, then it's a different situation. They could go with Inglis or Carey. But in this ODI series, Carey did okay. He did well in the last game, got that 40 odd, got Australia over the line, which was crucial. He kept well. He did okay. I thought he did a good job. Josh Inglis, bit rough on him coming in for the last game and then getting out cheaply, run out, which was a bit disappointing there. But they gave him an opportunity. So yeah, be interesting to see where they go in the future. Once Wade retires, or as I said, steps down, or whatever gets dropped, they may go with Inglis with the T20 side because he's a pretty good T20 wicketkeeper. So
Yeah.
ahead of Alex Carey, but both of them can do the role very well. But yeah, overall in this series, I thought Carey did okay in the ODI series. And he's definitely the preferred keeper going forward for Australia in ODI cricket. So it'll be interesting to see what they do going forward, Australia, in terms of who they want as a keeper, especially in the ODI team, especially heading towards a 50-over World Cup next year in India.
Yeah. Coming back to Aman, once Hasaranga
Yeah.
got injured and was ruled out of the ODI series, did you think at that time Sri Lanka may have lost the series? I mean, after the second ODI, Hasaranga getting injured, we were 1-1. But Theekshana and Velalage obviously did the decent
Yeah.
job in this, and DDS. His
Yeah,
part-time bowling
I've got a bit of a
contribution has not been mentioned. Yeah.
I've got a bit of a problem with your question though. See, your question is, after the second ODI, did you think Sri Lanka couldn't win the series because Hasaranga was ruled out? Is that your question?
Yeah, I mean, especially when it comes to spin department. I mean, the spin department. Did you think that
Yeah.
that would be a big impact once Hasaranga was ruled out, and then it was dependent on both Theekshana and Velalage to lead that spin attack forward and try to win that series for Sri Lanka when they were 1-1 and they won the second match, and Hasaranga got injured after the second ODI.
Firstly, even at that point, I never thought we were going to win anything, but they surprised me. Anyway, so onto that. Yeah, I have to. I have to be honest with you. With Hasaranga ruled out, weren't we all Sri Lankans? We didn't think we were going to do anything in the spin attack. I mean, be honest, Pawan, you didn't either.
Yeah.
When Hasaranga got ruled out.
Same.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you. I just
But
asked you.
our spin attack, Theekshana, Velalage, they proved Sri Lanka a little bit in the last match. And yeah, they proved us wrong, and I'm happy that they proved us wrong.
Yeah,
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, and Jack, coming to you, I mean, talking about Cameron Green and Manas Labuschagne also bowled a bit. I mean, I was impressed with his bowling, especially. I've seen him bowling for Brisbane Heat as well. He's bowling those googlies well. Was keeping that economy decent. And Cameron Green was also doing well as all round. He usually plays for Test cricket, but we've seen him playing ODI cricket as well. So your thoughts also on these two cricketers, because especially I think Labuschagne after a long time he got an opportunity to play ODI cricket. And
guys, can you give me 1 second, please?
Yeah, sure. So your thoughts on those two cricketers as well?
Yeah, they did well. I think Cameron Green, when he came into the side, because Marcus Stoinis was injured, Australia needed that all-rounder. He did okay with the ball. He got a few wickets and bowled well in the last game, and he batted well in the last game as well. He was there at the end with Carey to get us over the line. Yeah, he's done pretty well. Obviously, Australia were cautious with him because he was restricted in his bowling, apparently. So Australia didn't want to bowl him that much. So that's why they kept him on ice a bit. But he had to come in because of the injuries. But I thought he did okay. I think there's a future for him in one-day cricket for Australia. He can definitely be a valuable asset. With Marnus, he gets his opportunity. He got starts and then he got out, mainly to the spinners. That was no surprise. Most of the Australian batsmen got out to the Sri Lankan spinners and struggled a bit there. But Marnus, he had to bowl some overs of spin because we didn't have Agar. We had to bowl him, Kuhneman, and Travis Head at times. He went for a few runs, which happens with a part-time leg spinner. They are going to bowl the odd one that's a bit short. But he did okay. He did his role. He got a few wickets, I think, in the series. So he's definitely handy. He'll be definitely handy. I know we're going to talk about this a bit later about the Test series, but he's going to be definitely handy for Australia in the Test matches. And I thought he was under-bowled in Pakistan, to be honest. Yes. He should have been bowled a lot from Pat Cummins. But we'll talk about that as we talk about the Test series in a few moments. But, he did okay. Cameron Green did okay. And they got their opportunity, which is the great thing for Australia in this series, even though they lost the series, but they gave opportunities to other players to see if, they're going to fit into this side and maybe in the squad for that World Cup next year in India. So they did okay. They would have liked to do better, but they did their role and chipped in when needed at times in the series.
Shankar here says Australia was playing unlike Australia. Disappointed with Marnus. I think Jack Corey answered why he was... Marnus was not performing that well as we expected. But Rohan here says Australia A tour helped a bit in making adjustments to the pitches. Your thoughts on that, Jack?
Definitely. It was good that Australia had an A tour here because we can rely on other players to pick from. That's why we had to, draft in Kuhneman because he was in the A squad. So that's good. And it's also given opportunities for those players in the A squad to get used to subcontinental conditions. And this is the first time Australia A has toured in the last 2 years, obviously. So it's good to have them playing the 4-day matches and the 1-day matches as well as the main tour. So it's good for them to get that experience. And, whenever there's an injury in the Test squad for Australia, we can call up someone who's playing in the A squad and they're used to these conditions already. So that's pretty good. So, it's definitely a good thing to have the A squad in Sri Lanka at the moment. And I think Australia should do that for every tour of the subcontinent to give experience to young players coming through, especially moving into the future, heading towards the India series. I think we'll definitely going to have an A side there, I think, which would be beneficial for the squad. But, it definitely helps when you have players getting used to conditions. That's for sure.
Yeah. Shankar here said Vandese was too good. Aman, your thoughts on Jeffrey Vandese in this series?
Yeah?
Your thoughts on Jeffrey Vandese in this series?
Vandese, I won't say he was too good actually. Shankar sir, what impressed me is how he came in for the likes of Wanindu Hasaranga and did well. That's what I like about what Vandese. He came in and still performed under the likes of Wanindu Hasaranga. That's one big thing that Vandese did. He was and especially he was not very expected to come into the ODI team, and he still did, and he impressed. And I think he silenced us, or he proved us wrong. Let's say again. It's the same thing.
Yeah, Jack, your thoughts on the pitches in Australia, especially? Do you think it was too spin friendly for you, or do you think this was like for fast bowling, and do you think it could have favored a bit on fast bowling as well? Your thoughts? Friendly.
Sorry.
Do you think whether it was too spin friendly in this tour? In Sri Lankan pitches, or do you think it could have they could have given a bit of assistance to the fast bowlers as well?
I think you want to see a bit of both. You want to see good pace and bounce, and then you want to see some turn. They could have been a bit better, but Sri Lanka's playing at home. What's their greatest strength? They're spinners. So they've got to produce pitches they're going to turn and spin, and Australia's not used to that. We saw that in the last 2 games, especially in the 4th ODI. They bowled majority overs of spin, and they only bowled a few overs of pace. So, of course, they're going to do that. That's their greatest strength. And look what happened. They won the game with their spinners.
But do you think it would be an advantage for the Test series upcoming? Because we usually know in pitches in Gaul, it's usually spin-friendly. And
it will probably come back to... It will probably backfire on Sri Lanka, maybe, if you are producing I think David Warner talked about this, I think, as well.
Yeah.
He said it could backfire on Sri Lanka in the test matches because Australia's got Nathan Lyon and Australia did well in Pakistan. So they're not going to be troubled by the spinners. It's only in the one-day series that they struggled a bit because it's one-day cricket and you need to score. Whereas in test matches, you can be patient and take your time, get used to the turn and the conditions and the spin. So it's definitely going to be a challenge in the test series with the spin. But
I think Australia
that's
didn't
Sri
play
Lanka's.
that much ODI cricket as well, which could be why they sort of struggled as well a bit, because they focused more on the 2020 plus test, and I think ODI cricket is sort of ignored these days by the big three especially. That could be a reason.
Yeah. Obviously, it was no secret that Australia's priority is the test series because they want to win here. If Australia win here in Sri Lanka, then they're pretty much certain to book a place in the final of the WTC. And then, excuse me, so it's going to be an interesting test series, but it could backfire on Sri Lanka if they do produce, pitches that do turn from ball one, because Nathan Lyon with Australia, their batsmen, they could struggle. So it's going to be interesting to see what sort of pitches they produce. But I think we sort of know what pitches they're going to produce in Gaul. Thank goodness that Rangana Harris not playing this time around. I remember 2016, he caused all sorts of problems for Australia.
Yeah, he did. But this time, I think they have Lasith Tambuldeniya. They have, the trio. I think the Praveen Jayawickrama, Lasith Tambuldeniya, and Ramesh Mendis. And I think Aman can explain us a bit further on these trio of spinners who could trouble Australia. What do you think? Can these trio of spinners do this time around? We don't have Herat like in 2016. Do you think these spinners have any chance of getting 20 wickets? So maybe 10 wickets in the second innings, especially in Gaul. Your thoughts, Aman? Yeah. Aman, you're muted. You're muted. Well, I can't hear you. I think there's some issue. Okay. Anyways, Jack, do you think the Sri Lankan spinners will trouble the Australian batters coming up, or do you think the Australian batters this time around will dominate over the Sri Lankan spinners without Herat or even Dilruwan Pereira this time with an inexperienced spinning trio? Do you think Australian batters can dominate like David Warner, Steve Smith, Labuschagne, the obviously test? Brilliant test batters. So, do you think they will just dominate over the Sri Lankan spinners, or do you think the Sri Lankan spinners have an advantage at home?
It's definitely going to be interesting. I think they would have learned a lot from what they did in Pakistan, the Australian batsmen, and how they played the Pakistan spinners. But in Pakistan, the biggest difference there, it doesn't really turn as much as it does in Sri Lanka and India. So the ball's going to turn a lot more here in Sri Lanka. We do know that in Gaul, it does turn a lot. So they'll have to contend with that, whereas they didn't have to really deal with that much in Pakistan. So they are going to be challenged. And, I was very confident in what I saw in Pakistan with Australia up against the spinners. They had good plans against them. They used their feet. They played the sweep, reverse sweep, the paddle, the lap. So that's definitely going to be their game plan. If they can put pressure on the spinners, that would be pretty good for Australia in terms of putting Sri Lanka under pressure. And then Sri Lanka will have to go back to their, faster bowlers, which they don't want to do. They want to bowl spin, obviously, because that's their strength in these conditions, of course. So if they can do that, put them under pressure, then I think they'll be okay and they can rack up the runs and really put Sri Lanka under pressure. But it's just how Sri Lanka go about it with their spinners is, they've got to be really accurate and they've got to build the pressure and take wickets. If they don't, then if Australia get in and get set, then they could be out there for a while in the field. But, Australia definitely have plans. Khawaja is going to be big again. He's going to be the main batsman for Australia to rely on. And then you've got David Warner, then you've got Labuschagne, then you've got Smith. all of those batsmen are going to be key for Australia in terms of setting turtles and chasing down any score that Sri Lanka sets them in these two test matches if they do bat last. So
Agree.
it'll be interesting to see how they go. But I'm pretty confident in Australia that they can devise a game plan that will work against the spinners here in Sri Lanka.
Aman, Rohan has said in previous tours
Yeah.
to on turners the straight ball be more wicket taking. Your thoughts on that?
So he means on previous tours in Gaul, the straight ball is more wicket taking, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Uh, a straight ball from a spinner, like a top spin
I
ball.
think it's from a spinner. I think it's from a spinner.
Okay, so
Yes.
a top. He means a top spin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Top spin. Yeah.
Yeah. In Gaul, of course, it's always dry. I've been in Gaul. It's just always dry. Barely ever rains. Yeah. I can't tell you too much about this, to be honest, because I haven't bowled. Haven't really analyzed that bit. But yeah, I can't. Sorry, guys, I can't really tell you about that. I'll be completely honest. I'm not too. I don't really know about that.
Yeah. No worries. No worries. So, anyways, I think both the test and goal, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So, yeah, Rohan here
Mhm.
says toss will be vital in goal in test cricket, test matches. So,
Yeah.
your thoughts on that, Jack?
Well, yes, it will be vital. In any test match, the toss is vital. Of course, you want to win the toss and have that option to either bat or bowl first. But if Australia do win the toss, I'd be pretty straightforward. They'll bat first and back their bowlers to take the wickets and hopefully put them in a good position to win the test match, and to win these two test matches. So, yeah, the toss is going to be definitely crucial for both teams in terms of how these test matches are going to go in Gaul.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. So Rohan here says teams play to their strength at home nowadays. Yes, we do know that. That's what happened in Pakistan as well. But coming to the test squad of Sri Lanka, Aman, I think who do you think? I mean, obviously we know Dimuth is the key batsman of Sri
Yeah,
Lanka.
of
Obviously,
course.
he's obviously the one who's been doing really well. But who are the other contenders? Who especially can? Contest against this Austrian team. I know DDSOs has been doing a good job in
Uh,
Test cricket. We have a good squad. I would feel this time to challenge. We have Angelo Matthews who did well recently in the Bangladesh tour. So, your thoughts on the players this time, the squad?
yeah. I'm really excited to see how this goes. In the tests. If you're asking me who can contend against the Australians in the batting.
Yeah, in the batting. Yeah,
Okay. So what I'm thinking Dinesh Chandimal's always been a good contender. Dhananjay De Silva did well in the ODIs, and he showed in the ODIs that he's a very defensive batsman. And that's what I've always seen Dhananjay De Silva as this defensive batsman and a very, very good test player. So yes, I'm interested to see Dhananjay De Silva. As normal, he's never done too much. He's never hit hundreds, double A's, hit 100, but I'm saying not on the regular, someone like Karunaratne or something. He's always hit a 50, and he's always played a supporting role, and he's always contributed in every game. Like I said, what Kusal Mendis did in this ODI series. I'm very excited to see Dhananjay De Silva and how he goes. A player that I don't think will contend against the Aussies in the batting, but Angelo Matthews, lots of people said before the Bangladesh series he was getting old. He's got to retire. He came, he shocked everybody with his 199. He shocked us more when he got out on 199. But anyway, yeah, Angelo Matthews. Now, I mean, people aren't saying the same, that he should retire, that he's too old. And for him, he's under lots of pressure. One slip up, and everybody's just going to start coming back on him and saying everything. Matthews is too old. Matthews should retire. So it's interesting to see how he'll do. Yeah, that's very interesting actually. See how Angelo Matthews will do. Yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah. And coming back to Aman once again, I think talk about the opening batsman because we have Oshida Fernando as well, and Pathum Nisanga coming back to that opening slot. So, who do you think will be the openers and perhaps the number 3 for Sri Lanka? Because we don't have Tirimana
Okay.
again in this tour. And between Pathum and Oshida, will you include both of them, or do you think one of them will have to drop out? I mean, especially Osiris Fernando, do you think he'll drop out?
Well, here's the thing. I'm not sure if also the Fernando will drop out. Probably he will, sadly. I think he's just got to play first class and then get back. Openers, of course, that spot is secure. Dimut Karanaratna spot opening is just 100% secure. There's no way you can't.
Yeah. Obviously, I know it's
Of
Dimuth.
course,
I was
of
just
course,
talking about the
Karanaratne,
option.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking
Because
about the
who's gonna
option
open
between
alongside
Pathum
him?
and Oshida.
Pathum, no, because he's had more cricket. Even though it's not been most test, he's had more cricket. He's played more cricket. I know
Because I
he
think
gets
for
picked in first
sure, because
class.
I think for sure, Kusal Mendis is going to play this Test playing 11 after
Of
his
course he will. Of
performance
course,
in the weekend,
Kusal Mendis will. Kusal Mendis will
with how he's
100% will.
performing.
Of course. Yeah.
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 So I think
Here's
most of the
something.
fans,
Will they put in Dickwella? Now here is something. Dickwella. He's not really impressed with his batting, but see, this is the thing. Dickweller's keeping impressed so much in the matches that he played in the ODI series. His keeping was spot on. His hands were so quick. Dickweller's keeping was absolutely crazy good. So we don't know if he's going to play him, but then again, you can't play a player for their keeping. You have to play them if they're batting well.
Yeah.
If he can up his batting, I think maybe in the second test he'll come in and be the keeper. I'm not saying Mendis gets a drop. I'm saying he also comes in and plays for someone like if Chandimal plays and Chandimal, and he might get dropped and put Dickwell and see what he can do if he performs in first class cricket.
And coming back to Australia, obviously, Jack, I think we obviously have two main spinners. Obviously, Nathan Lyon, he has plenty of experience playing in 2011-16. He could be the threat for the Sri Lankan batters, especially. And then we have Mitchell Swepson as well. Jack, do you think Mitchell Swepson will play both the test matches, or do you think they will try to go? Because I don't think Ashton Ega will obviously play. I don't know about his injury concerns. I'm not sure whether he's out of the test series or not. But between Ashton Ega and Mitchell Swepson, do you think they should go and gamble perhaps with Mitchell Swepson, seeing that Ashton Ega was injured in the ODI tour and may not take a risk? And do you think Mitchell Stark may play this tour? I think Stark was included, but I
Stark.
think he may be out. He may be out. They
Yeah,
may not risk
maybe.
Stark in the Australian Test series. So your thoughts on that, Jack?
Yeah. Well, I think Ashton Agar's got a side strain, I think. So I think he said he may be touch and go for this test series. He may try and come back for the second test. If he does, that's good. If he doesn't, that's the way it goes. But I think they'll go with the same 11, the same combination as they had in Pakistan. They'll play Nathan Lyon and Mitchell Swepson. Now, I know a lot of people criticise Mitchell Swepson for his debut and his second test match that he played in that series against Pakistan. But I thought he did okay. He's only new to international cricket, test cricket. So it's going to take him some time. I don't think by dropping him for this series against Sri Lanka won't do his confidence any good. So you've got to back him. You've already selected him. You've got to back him. You say Australia have said to him, right, you're our second spinner to Nathan Lyon. We're going to pick you and you're going to get us the wickets and do your job. So they're definitely going to play the same 11 as they did in Pakistan, the same combination. So therefore, it's probably going to be Josh Hazelwood who misses out again, and they're going to play the two quicks in Cummins and obviously Mitchell Stark.
Okay. Aman, what about you? Do you think Stark will be risk in this test series coming up, or do you think like a Scott Bolland or even Hazelwood will get an opportunity in this test series?
I think Hazelwood is even going to play. Scott Bolland, maybe if Stark. Do the Aussies want to risk someone who is injured? Do they want to do that? Someone who is still just recovered from injury and is not bowling
we don't know.
Do they want to do that? Do the Aussies want to do that? Yeah, that's something big there. They have got something solid in Cummins and Hazelwood. But yeah, I have a feeling they're going to give Scott Bolland a chance maybe in the first test. And in that first test area, maybe get Stark to play the nets during that 5 days and then get him into the second test. I think that's how it's going to go. I got an important question for Jack. Jack, do you think in maybe by any, 1% chance, because it's a good first 11 test player that was taken out for this player, do you think Glenn Maxwell will get the chance? I don't think, but see, this is where he just could. Glenn Maxwell was taken in as a replacement to a very good test player who is normally in their starting 11, Travis Head. That's where there's something could happen, but I don't think. Jack, what do you think?
Well, if they drafted him into the squad, then he's probably going to play if Travis Head doesn't play. That's how I see it. Because they picked him because he's similar to Travis Head in terms of being aggressive towards spinners as well. And he can bowl some spin and he can bat and he can field as well, Glenn Maxwell. So he's a 1-in-3 cricketer. Yes, he hasn't played Test cricket for 5 years, but all of his Test matches have been in the subcontinent. 2013, when he made his debut, that was in India. And then 4 years later, he made that century in that India series in Ranchi to help Australia draw that Test match. And then the same year, he played in the Bangladesh series for Australia. So he's got experience in the subcontinent Test matches. So they said, okay, we'll take a risk and we'll select him in the squad. And if Travis Head doesn't pull up for that first test with that hamstring strain, then we'll select him probably. Because it looks like he's probably going to play the first test if Travis Head doesn't pull up. So I was a bit surprised by the selection of Glenn. I thought they would have gone with someone else, maybe someone else younger or someone else who's been in the team before, but they've gone with him. And I wish him all the best if he gets the opportunity because, he's got a Test century. He's played in the subcontinent, all his Test matches. So he's got that experience. He knows what to do. He'll relish the opportunity if he gets selected. So they wanted to pick a like-for-like replacement for Travis Head, and sort of Glenn Maxwell fits that mould. So he'll probably play if Travis Head doesn't pull up with that injury to his hamstrings. He'll definitely be in 11, I think.
Sportbit here said, Rhythm, obviously, who should be the bowler to target Manas and Smith? For me, I think it's most likely could be, I think, for me, I might go with either Jai Vikrama or Ramesh Mendis.
Yeah, I was about to say Jai Vikrama, not Ramesh Mendis.
Ambul Denia could be, but I think Jai Vikrama at home, I think, could be more lethal, I think, especially with the left arm. There's many variations compared to Ambul Denia, because Ambul Denia struggled in India as well. I know Jai Vikrama also struggled, but I just think in Sri Lanka, I think Jai Vikrama is a bit more effective than Ambul Denia. What about you, Aman?
Praveen Jai Vikrama is very effective at home. We've seen that. Of course, we're not just saying it. We've seen it. We've seen that debut that he had. Yes, I think Jai Vikrama should go to target Manas and Smith, especially because they're both right-handers and a left-arm orthodox bowler. So, probably Jai Vikrama. If at all something happens, probably Ambul Denia. Probably. But, Praveen Jai Vikrama. He's got a huge job up his hand if that's his job to target Manas and Smith. He's got a massive job. Target two of the best batsmen in the world actually here. Got Smith's signature here. And even Manas's too. That's a big job to target two crazy good batsmen.
Okay, coming back, we've ended. I mean, we are going to end this obviously, but just want final predictions. Like, Jack, who do you think will get the most runs and wickets in this Test series upcoming? Who do you think will be the man of the tournament, maybe man of the series, and most runs and most wickets upcoming for this Test series?
Yes. I'm going to go with Usman Khawaja. I think he's going to have another big series again, and he'll probably be man of the series as well, I think. And then leading wicket taker, I've got to go with Nathan Lyon, of course. I think, this is where it all started for Nathan Lyon all those years ago, in Sri Lanka. And fond memories for him at Gaul. Obviously, he got Kumar Sangakkara out first ball and got a fifer on debut, which was good for him. And I think he'll be very handy for Australia. He's going to be very crucial in terms of the spin department and getting the wickets. But Cummins and Hazelwood and,
Yeah.
and Stark, they're going to be up there as well. Because it's a very good quality attack from Australia. So I think Nathan Lyon will be the leading wicket taker for me, I think, for Australia, and I think for
Okay.
the series.
What about you, Aman?
Yeah.
Same question for you.
Yeah, I'll go most runs. See, this is why I don't say Kawaj, Jack. Look, he hasn't played in a long time, Kawaja, and you can say even in the Ashes it's the same story. But he played for Queensland. Here he's not played in a long time, so I don't think it's going to be Kawaja. But I'm going to go with another Australian, and I'm going to go with Manas. I know he was a bit disappointing in the ODI series, but I just have this feeling Manas is going to bat well. And yeah, in the
Most
bowling,
wickets?
oh yes, most wickets will. Yeah, I'll have to go for a Australian again. I'm gonna go for Josh Hazelwood. I think he's gonna play very, very well. He was not too impressive in the ODI series, but we know he's capable of a lot in Test crickets. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Josh Hazelwood. And then
Yeah, for me, I think also for batsman. For me, it's going to be a different batsman. I'm going to go with Steve Smith. I think Steve Smith is going to have a very good tour. I think upcoming he did well in the Pakistan tour. I think Smith and Warner, especially both of them, will be dominating when it comes to Australians. For Sri Lanka, I think it's going to be Dimuth Karuratne, and maybe even I think Dhananjay De Silva will have a good tour. He's obviously had a very good record with Australia also in Test cricket. So I think those two. But for me, I think it's going to be Steve Smith. Bowling wise, I'm going to go with the Sri Lankan. I think for me, I think it's going to be Praveen Jaivikrama. I think he's going to have a good series. I know Nathan Lyon is a very, very experienced bowler. I think he'll come second. But I just feel that I think the Sri Lankan spinners do know their conditions, and perhaps they could trouble this year. I mean the batsmen. But series predictions, guys. I mean, Jack, are you going with the 2-0? Do you think it's going to be a 1-1? What's going to be your prediction?
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be. I'll go with Australia, probably 1-0. I think to win the series. I think maybe one of the other Test matches may get affected by rain or something or draw, but I'll go with Australia 1-0. I think.
What about you, Aman?
Okay. Yeah, I say I'm gonna go with Australia 2-0. It's again. I said this. I said Australia 4-1 before the ODI series. Our Lankans proved us wrong, but I just have to just say Australia is gonna win this 2-0.
For me, I think it's going to be a 1-1. I think
1-1. You think Sri Lanka
yeah,
is gonna win the
I think Sri Lanka will win the first test, and I think Australia will win the second test. I'm going for a 1-1 draw this time. I think Sri Lanka can obviously give some contention to Australia in the first test, and when Australia get used to the conditions, I think they'll beat Sri Lanka in the second test. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw. Seeing how they did in 2016, I know they had Rangana Herath, but I just think still this inexperienced
You
trio
think
could be a mystery,
you
and
think Jaivikrama could fill in Rangan Hera's spot then?
not really. That's why I said it's not going to be a 2-0. But I think the other spinners will contribute, and even DDS, and I think the fast bowlers also will do good. We didn't speak much about the Sri Lankan fast bowlers, obviously. I think Kasun Radita, I think Chamira's not in this tour, but Asita Fernando, Vishwa Fernando, I think they'll do a decent job. So for me, I think it's a 1-all draw. But yeah, anyways, thank you so much, Jack and Aman. I just wanted to have a short preview and a short review of this.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Jack, once again for coming, and sorry for delaying the time.
Yeah,
I was
and
a bit with other times with other work as well. Thank you so much, Aman, for
Yeah.
joining as well.
and
Yeah,
yeah, guys. But by the way, I got lots of signatures here. I got Manas. Okay, I got Manas. Here is English Finch, Warner. I've got Smith, Cummins.
you went to Cinnamon Grand and got it.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Hazelwood
that's what
and
happened.
Aga.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
I
okay,
got lots of
okay.
Australian
Yeah, that's
player
great.
signatures. Yeah.
You spoke with them as well.
Yes.
Oh,
Manas is
great.
a really nice guy.
But thank you so much, guys. So we'll end it over
Yeah,
there.
guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Aman and Jack, for
I have a
joining.
question. I'll ask you backstage.
Yeah. So thank you so much, guys, and please do subscribe to the Sports Breakdown. Please like, comment, and share on this video. And thank you so much to all the viewers who watched this. Thank you so much, Jack, and sorry for the delay once again. But yeah, we'll end it over there. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video. Bye, guys.